All right. Welcome, everybody. It is the Awesemo.com Nhl Dfs strategy show. Just going to be me for today. We're going to try out some of these shorter streams and with just me on the smaller slates where the prize pools are a little bit down. So a little bit rusty doing the solo streams. I haven't done one of these, I think, since the playoffs, which was about a year ago, or maybe a little bit less than a year ago. So, see, we've got the lineup builder up here. I'll be doing some screen share. I know some people were sad that we haven't been doing screen shares this year, but on some of these solo streams, we'll be able to do that. So, lineup builder, we'll probably do some lineup study at some point once I get a little bit more comfortable doing these. And no Twitter alert or Periscope. Yeah, we're just going to YouTube on these solo streams, and then the other shows, the MLB show, all that stuff. Those will have your Twitter alerts and your Periscope alerts. Actually, I don't even know if it's called Periscope anymore. I think Twitter might have their own name for it, but I think, yeah, okay. I'm watching myself back here just to make sure everything looks good. But hopefully you guys had some Florida 2 last night. Hopefully you had some Toronto, I guess, power play stack. That was kind of the nuts. Saw some familiar names taking it down. I did pretty well myself. Ran pretty hot at the end. So that was fun to see. Always tough when two chalky stacks go off. Like I thought I was pretty much cooked. Like 2 hours into the slate, and it turns out that I wasn't. So, one of those nights where you think you're going to close the laptop, end up having a sweat, and ended up going my way. So hopefully you guys had some success last night. Today is 4 games. Again, it'll just be me for today. It'll be Josh and Cliffy tomorrow. They'll be breaking down the bigger slates going forward. Going to try to keep this to about 30 to 40 minutes, somewhere in there. Maybe it'll be a little bit longer on like the 5 and 6 gamers, but we'll just see where we're going. Going to be kind of like the process show for NBA, just the NHL version. So if you guys got any questions for the people that have joined already, feel free to hit me up. Might be some interesting discussion points. I'm sure you guys can teach me a bunch of stuff as well. Before we get started for today, just want to let everyone know that we do have some free content going on for today. NHL top stacks are going to be free. In fact, I can probably share those on the screen at some point here during the show. So if you don't know what the NHL top stacks are, we've got this tool for MLB. We've got this tool for pretty much every sport. The sports, the non-stacking sports, we call it like MMA top fighters, PGA top golfers. So it's a tool if you've been with any sport on the site. If you're new, if you're just trying out NHL, welcome. Top stacks tool, I think, is my favorite place to start. If you knew nothing about the sport, I think the top stack tool is the best way to hand build a lineup, or if you're using an optimizer, there's certainly ways to mix it into your process. So if you want to go check out the NHL top stacks tool for today, that is open to everyone. And it'll show you the top 2 stack percentage. It'll show you the ownership share, and it will show you the leverage that you're getting, positive or negative, on the field when you compare those 2 numbers. So really cool tool. I would suggest you use that if you're playing NHL, or at least give it a look and get an idea of if your stacks are going to be sneaky, if you're going to have 2 really popular stacks, maybe you want to change one of them. Same tool for MLB is also going to be free today. And then the NBA big board. If you're playing some NBA today, we've got hours of NBA coverage coming on later today. PGA rankings, PGA lock tomorrow morning. They've got some massive contests across all the sites, as they always do for PGA. I'm very jealous of the contests over there as an MME guy myself. But let's just break this down and then we'll get out of here. Again, lineup builder pulled up, and we're going to start with Nashville and Chicago. We've got a 2.9 implied total for the Preds, 2.7 for the Hawks. UC Saros expected to go against Malcolm Subban. Probably won't get confirmation on Saros because he's a Nashville goalie until 30 minutes before the slate starts. And this will be the only game that locks at 7 p.m. Eastern. So potentially a pretty good late swap slate if you are into that kind of thing. Biggest, not necessarily news, but we do get Subban starting for the Hawks. And then the Blackhawks have been changing up their lines a ton. So they're a pretty frustrating team for me personally to try to parse through because, they just change their lines all the time. And you can always play the studs, but they're not at least starting on the same line, a lot of them. So going by what we have on the lineup builder, Hinostroza with Suter and Patrick Kane, you got a pretty cheap line 1. You've got a reasonably priced line 2 as well. Got that with Kirby Dach and Alex Brinkat. And then a third line that I know a bunch of people in our Slack chat have been liking a little bit recently, Kubalik with Khrushchev and Dylan Strome. And those guys all get power play time. So I think there are a lot of things to like, especially because the top 2 lines for Nashville have been pretty poor defensively. They've been pretty active offensively, but giving it up a lot on the defensive end, even with Josi and Ellis being back for the Preds. So there are things to like on the Hawks. It's just going to be one of those slates where since it's a 4-gamer, I'm going to be looking to play some more 3-2-1s and, doing some more mini stacking and stuff like that. So I think it's a little easier for me to play Chicago. You can go Dach to Brinkat and Kane, just go full power play stack. You can go Khrushchev, Kubalik, and Kane. But pretty much, the one thing that I want to get to a lot on the Hawks side is make sure the majority of my Blackhawks stacked lineups have Patrick Kane. Going to have him a bunch as a one-off as well. I mentioned 3-2-1s. He'll be the one in a bunch of those. Projects pretty highly for us. And if you log in and you go to the lineup builder, if you have a premium subscription, whether it's Platinum or NHL, you'd be able to see the projections and the ownership and right next to each player's name, as well as the stack projection for the even strength line. So we don't have those up right now. I don't want to give away everything for free. Top Stacks pretty much gives you a lot of that information. But so I think I'm going to be over the field potentially on Kane. It doesn't look like he is overly popular right now. We've got him at, let's see, on FanDuel, he's 19%. We got him at only 15% on DK. So I think pretty comfortably I'm going to be over on that, assuming he sticks around there. Got some big name players in the later games that people are going to spend up for. Maybe people don't prioritize Kane as much with a 2.7 implied total only. On the Pred side, I think they're fine. The second line here, Yarncroc with Granlund and Cunnin. There's been some Cunnin slander across the site in recent weeks. I don't really hate stacking that Nashville 2 line. There's not really a matchup I'm concerned about on the Hawks side. Like, they don't really hard match. Kane plays a lot. He's not a stellar defensive player. So I wouldn't really be worried about matchups on the Nashville side. Just kind of pick a line you like and hope you get it right, because I think there's 3 that you can get to pretty easily. I even like so I mentioned 3 lines. You've got the Johansson line, the Granlund line, and then Haula, Cousins, and Duchesne. That's one of my favorite third lines, if not my favorite. Maybe Minnesota 3. We'll get to them in the next game, but in terms of full stacks, I think you can full stack the Nashville third line, fully correlated on that second power play. You want the Josi unit, but if you can get the Ellis unit, you could even 4-man it with the full Nashville 3 with a solid defenseman in Ryan Ellis, who's just $4,500 on DK. that's really all I've got, I think, for this game. I think on the Hawks side, one more quick thing. The way I'm approaching it is I think Duncan Keith is actually going to be a pretty popular defenseman tonight, and I don't really want to play him as a one-off. I'll play him in my Kane lineups just as some additional correlation, but I don't think I'm really playing Keith as a one-off. I think that's kind of a price people are going to get baited into playing him. 3,900. He's not really a high upside guy, in my opinion, anymore. If you wanted to play Dahan for the block shot bonus, potentially 2,900, I don't really have a problem with that. Josi, right now, I ran a crunch right before the show. He is my, let's see, where's Josi? Yeah, usually he's right at the top, so maybe a little lower on Josi right now. Yeah, I'm going to get to some Josi, probably closer to around the field. Really like to spread it out on these short slates, especially, and just make sure I'm making quality lineups and not worry as much about like exposure being 50% on a guy that's going to be 20%. I don't think matters that much as long as I'm playing that 20% player correctly in lineups that aren't going to be duped, because you always got to worry about dupes on these shorter slates. So let's go to Minnesota and Arizona. We've got a 3 implied total for the Wild, 2.4 for the Yotes. Cam Talbot probably going to go against Kemper. No confirmation yet. This one is a little bit tricky to do a show this early because a lot of these games lock later. And so this one will be a 9 Eastern start. I don't think these teams have skated yet for their morning skate just yet, but we did see some lines yesterday, and these will get updated in the lineup builder as the lineup sites update. I believe, let me pull this up. I believe it was Schmaltz with Keller. Yeah, Schmaltz with Keller and Fisher. Cliffy shared this in the premium Slack. Schmaltz with Keller, Fisher, Krause with Dvorak and Garland, Dryden Hunt with Larson, and Phil Kessel, which has actually been a pretty good line so far. Now, I think it's mostly because they go up against like the third and fourth lines for the opposing teams, but they're going to do that again. They're on home ice, and the problem with Arizona is you never know if they're going to stick with their lines. If they were going with Schmaltz, Keller, Garland, like you see on the screen, if we knew that for sure, I would be in on them again. These two teams played 2 nights ago. I was in on them, not super heavy because it was a bigger slate, but I did have well over the field on the Schmaltz, Keller, Garland trio. I think that's just a line I believe in. And they didn't go up against Eriksson, Greenway, and Foligno. So my favorite Arizona line is probably Schmaltz and Keller with Fisher, but I just don't love anything for a full stack on Arizona. Like if I was building one lineup, sure, I might get to a mini stack of Schmaltz and Keller or Dvorak with Garland, but yeah, just the full stacks. Like I feel like they've just got a clear third wheel on all their lines right now. On the Minnesota side, let me check the ownership on Minnesota 1. So they've been all over the place. Like price-wise, they haven't changed that much, but I feel like people were playing a lot of Minnesota 1 like a month ago when Kaprizov was just going nuts. Him and Zuccarello were playing awesome, and they've still been playing okay, but their numbers are really dropped at 5-on-5. So I'm a little worried about them at 5%. It's probably fine to take some stabs at them. I'm definitely going to be doing that in MME, but I'm not seeing anything that's really a priority for me in this game. I think Cliffy and I on Monday? Yeah, I think it was Cliffy and I. We talked about Eriksson, Greenway, Foligno. They're priced up a little bit because none of them get power play time. I think dropping down to this Minnesota 3 line, or at least like a 2-man with Fiala, Hartman, Fiala, Johansson, is something I'm going to do quite a bit tonight. So maybe because they're listed as a third line, people will not go to them as much. It's not really stopping me. Minnesota's really spreading around their ice time. They're playing the fourth line a lot. Like you can even go to Josh's boy, Bonino Parisi mini stack. I could see getting to that if you wanted to, go really deep on this slate. because they're playing like Preezy's playing like 12, 13 minutes most games. Bonino's been playing like 15, 16, 17 minutes, even listed as a fourth liner. So Sturm is going to be the odd man out most likely. And Cliffy just shared a tweet in the premium Slack that Garland left practice early, tweaked something. So Garland might be out, and that might shake some things up for the Yotes. So definitely on the Minnesota side a little bit more. I will say, though, if you want to play a goalie that's probably going to see some volume in a winnable game, Kemper, 7,300 at home, pretty good price, and definitely a chance at that 35 save bonus, which is so important on DK. I like Dumba a bunch for 4,100 tonight. Shooting at a decent rate. He's priced quite a bit lower than Spurgeon. He's not listed on the top power play, but he does go with that third line, Hartman and Johansson. And then Fiala's on the other power play unit, but Minnesota switches around their defensemen on the power play all the time. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. We've got a question in the chat from Grade A Flicks. I know you play play more on DK than FanDuel. I'm more than FanDuel than DK, but do you partake in NHL tiers, or do you just stay in classic format? I usually just play the classic and then the showdown. I haven't gotten into tiers too much. I know there are some guys that do pretty well in it, but I've never really taken the time to try to be good at tiers. I would assume you're just trying to stack, but I think from what I remember, the few times I have played with tiers, a lot of times you can only get like a 2-man stack in there. And the contests are pretty small. NHL contests are a lot smaller than most of the other sports. And then you got like a 1K to first or 2K to first a lot of times in those tiers contests. So they're not super appealing to me, but I think if you're trying to grind out a profit, like being good at those niche games, especially in a more niche sport like NHL, is a really, really good way to build up a bankroll. So definitely encourage that. The strategy I would like, without spending too much time, the strategy I would have with that is just to try to jam in as many stacks as possible. Maybe not on a 4-game slate, but on the bigger slates. If you can get a 3-man stack or a 4-man stack on a team, I would try to do that. I would go out of my way to do that and give up some points, some projected points in favor of correlation. For defensemen here, you got Goligoski and Chychrun, both listed on the top power play. I'll probably get to some Chychrun one-offs at 6,400, just a high upside defenseman on a night where there aren't that many of them outside of the Golden Knights, which we'll get to in just a second. But Dumba, Chychrun, both pretty decent targets for me tonight. And then if you wanted to go to Spurgeon, that's fine with me. Or even Brodin. I've been playing some Brodin at 4K recently. Yeah. Who's Jake talking to? Yeah, right. I mean, it's awkward a little bit to talk to yourself for 30 minutes, but I used to do this all the time. And now I'm just doing it in front of you guys. So again, if you guys got any questions, feel free to hit me up in chat. Makes it a lot easier for me. If you do have questions, it's probably a lot more interesting for you guys as well. Looks like we've got a decent crowd joining right now. So just want to point out that, as you can see in the top right corner, we are sponsored by JockMKT. If you guys haven't checked out JockMKT, it's like fantasy sports and the stock market combined. So two things that I think a lot of DFS players and bettors are interested in. JockMKT's got them both. And you don't have to go and put up a ton of money on JockMKT right away. If you deposit, you can get up to $20 on your first deposit with the promo code Awesemo NHL20. That is a $20 bonus on your first deposit. So you might as well go take advantage. Sponsor JockMKT has really helped us out. And we would appreciate it if you guys go and help them out and use that code so we can continue to offer these kind of shows for free, whether it's a single man show or it's Cliffy and Josh like it's going to be tomorrow for the bigger slate. We really do appreciate JockMKT sponsoring us here. Again, promo code Awesemo NHL 20. All right, let's get into the second half of the slate here. we've got the San Jose Sharks and the Vegas Golden Knights. 2.2 implied total for the Sharks, 3.7 for the Knights. I believe it's going to be Robin Lehner, and it's probably going to be Marty Jones for the Sharks. These teams are going to skate probably in a little while if they haven't gotten underway just yet. Don't look for it in the App Store in Canada. Dang, they don't have JockMKT in Canada just yet. That's too bad. Maybe one day, once they get bigger, once all you guys use that promo code, maybe they'll be able to offer that kind of thing from our friends in the North. This is going to be a Vegas game for me. Shocker. So I mentioned I'm doing a lot of 3-2-1s. I think one of the reasons that I do want to do 3-2-1s is because Vegas here. Like, they have the highest total. They're not going to be a secret. They're not going to, like, I don't think either line's going to be higher owned than the Edmonton one duo or trio, if you want to call it a trio, or, depending on what Edmonton does with their lines, it looks like Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is going to be back. But anyways, I don't think Vegas is going to be the most popular team on the slate, or they're going to be the most popular team on the slate, but I don't think they're going to have the most popular line on the slate. Still waiting to hear about Riley Smith. Again, those teams are going to skate pretty soon here. We'll probably get some news on that front. I love Vegas here. I love the Vegas onslaught. Anytime you can Josh stack against Marty Jones, I think that's always a pretty good night. And I think that's a way to differentiate, honestly, with Vegas. So if I use the lineup builder here, let me see. I think you guys should be able to see this, or you can see most of my lineup here that I build. So the way I would like to do a Josh stack, or I guess it's more like a hybrid stack, not necessarily the 6-man, but I think a 5-man with 4 forwards and a defenseman or 2 is the way that I want to attack the Knights in some of my lineups tonight. So, you kind of just take the best players here. You take Pacioretty, Stone. You're probably going to want to get a center. So I would go Carlson over Stevenson. And then, so you've got your 2 guys on Vegas 1. You go Marchessault or Alex Tuck. You've got a good mix of guys on PP1 and PP2. And then you just take a stud defenseman after that. And I think you can go with either Shea Theodore, Alec Martinez, or Alex Pietrangelo. What you're doing with this kind of lineup build is just you're just hoping that Vegas scores 4, 5, 6 goals, and you get pieces of most, if not all, of those goals. And you're doing that by just taking a bunch of goal scorers in your lineup. I think another way you can do that is full stack. One of the lines, take a piece or 2, and you're just hoping that Vegas comes through with the highest implied total in the slate. And a lot of people don't take guys from the same line, or from different lines in the same lineup. Yeah, too bad Barkov and Huberdeau aren't together. They both went off last night. Yeah, Florida 2, Pens 2. Wow, what a game, by the way, that was last night. New Jersey almost came back down 6-0 with 5 goals in the third. And yeah, so like New Jersey was a goal away, I think, from being in a winning lineup, which is insane. They started the game down 6-0. Like, they didn't have anything going the first half. Got 1 in the second, and then got 5 in the third, got within 1 a couple times, got it to 7-6 with 30 seconds left. Weird game, weird sport here. But anyways, back to Vegas. Just love them. They're my favorite team of the night. It's a huge total, higher, like over a half goal higher than anyone else on the slate. So just going to try to get a little bit different by doing those hybrid stacks, those picking off 2 guys from multiple lines. You can do the same thing with the third line if you want to go, Nosek and Janmark. Just keep an eye out for Riley Smith, because if Smith plays, he's going to slot in with Carlson, Marchessault. Tuck will slide down with probably Nosek and Janmark, and then you'll just probably that'll just make the third line even more appealing if they've got a good goal scorer and Tuck, a good playmaker. Now, the Sharks these lines are an absolute mess. Same thing as I said with Arizona 1. Like they've pretty much got a third wheel on all their lines. So Noah Gregor, Patrick Marleau on the second line, Gambrell on the third line. I think my favorite Sharks line is probably the third. But the most, so if I had a full stack of Sharks line, I think it's the third, mostly because they're not going to see Stevenson, Pacioretty, Stone. That line is going to be stuck on Couture and Kane, I would think. And if you wanted to go Couture, Kane, two-man, they actually did pretty well against them when they were on the ice against the Pacioretty, Stone line in the last game. So, maybe they can generate some chances again tonight, score a goal or two, and they're probably going to be at pretty low ownership. If you wanted to go Hurdle, Balcers, that's fine. But I think they're probably going to see a pretty good line in Vegas too. And then at least you got Timo and LeBanc, like two guys that can score goals on the third line and probably going to get the depth matchups. So I'm taking some Flyers with San Jose 3, but it's pretty ugly. They're going to be, we're showing San Jose 3 at under 2% ownership on a 4-game slate. I'm fine with that. So if you're full stacking, that would be a line I have in my mix. I'd rather stack them full than add in Patty Marleau for 2,500. I hope that price baits people to play him, but not many people have fallen for that recently. He's been pretty low owned. Erik Karlsson had 14 shot attempts in the last game, which is one of the crazier things I've seen. Like, he's had a lot of empty minutes. I don't even know if the results were good, but I was just looking at the game reports on Natural Stat Trick, and I saw 14 attempts at all strengths last game, which is pretty wild for a guy that hasn't been doing a whole lot this entire season. So maybe that's a start of something. Maybe he's being more aggressive. I'll have to look into him a little bit more, but 4,300, he's definitely going to be on my radar, if not for the one game sample by itself. Burns 5,600. That's fine if you're going to San Jose 1. But I think I actually prefer the second power play with Hurdle and Balcers and Erik Karlsson. Marleau, defensive stud, lock, 6 block bonus. He might, maybe he could get there with the blocks bonus. Marleau would be good if they counted games played in DFS. He would be about 10K if they counted games played. So I agree with you there. Great accomplishment from him. He's just not any good for DFS. So show curse, he's probably going to score twice now, but I won't be counting my money if that's the case. Shea Theodore is my favorite Vegas defenseman, followed by Pietrangelo, followed by Martinez, but it's pretty close. I think they're all interchangeable. You just want to make sure the correlation is correct if you are doing full Vegas stacks. Theodore was on the Pacioretty, Stone, Stevenson power play in practice today, and Martinez and Pietrangelo are with the Karlsson, Marchessault, Tuck trio. And Riley Smith was not on the power play, so I'm assuming that means he's not going tonight, but don't quote me on that. Before we get to the last game and then hop on out of here, see, we're at 30 minutes. Yeah, we'll make good time here. We do have promo code UFC 261. So if you guys have heard last couple of days, if you can watch our other shows, massive card going on for MMA. It's so massive that I'm probably going to watch, if not the whole thing, most of it. I don't watch a ton of MMA. I did watch some last weekend, but I will definitely be playing some DFS, and I will definitely be watching some of the fights. Usman versus Masvidal. It's going to be huge. It's April 24th, this Saturday. We've got promo code UFC 261. We haven't been running a lot of monthly promo codes for the last couple of years, but we do have, again, UFC 261. You get half off the Awesemo Plus monthly pass. So you get half off the first 30 days of Awesemo Plus. And with that, you're going to get access to projections, obviously ownership projections, the top fighter tool, which is a great tool if you're looking to see like knockout potential, 100 plus points potential, the lineup builder, and then the premium Slack channel as well. And you'll also get in NHL Premium Slack, which I think is arguably the best resource, especially if you're around during lock, playing multiple lineups. Premium Slack is amazing for NHL. So I would be pretty lost without it. I'm pretty proud of the community that we have built there. Really want to fade Edmonton 1 tonight. They struggled against Montreal. Yeah, they struggled for 2 periods last game, and then Connor McDavid was Connor McDavid in the third. I actually went to bed. I think I was a little bit tilted 2 nights ago when they played, and woke up, and my winnings weren't actually as low as what I thought because McDavid brought them back to life. Draisaitl had a pretty disappointing game, but McDavid, Puljujarvi, and I think Yamamoto all had solid games. But last game of the night, Montreal, Edmonton, 2.8 implied total for the Canadiens, 3.1 for the Oilers. Probably going to be Jake Allen, probably going to be Mike Smith again. And I mean, I don't know what there is to say about Edmonton 1 at this point. I will say a pretty important note in this game is that it looks like Nugent Hopkins is going to be in for the Oilers. So you potentially got 2 lines that are in play here. I'm going to do a quick look at Twitter and see if they've posted line combos. Yeah, Ryan Nugent Hopkins expected to be in, Coach Tippett says, from the Edmonton Oilers account. Okay, do we have anything about lines here? If you guys feel free to drop in the lines if you've seen anything on Twitter over the last 30 minutes or so. But if they go McDavid, Draisaitl, Puljujarvi, that's probably your best option of the night. I would maybe argue Vegas is a better option, but hard to go against McDavid and Draisaitl when they're together, or McDavid and Puljujarvi. They've been awesome together. But one thing you could also see here is Nugent Hopkins with Draisaitl and Yamamoto. And if that is somehow a line and they stick whoever, Archibald or whoever, with McDavid and Puljujarvi, because we've seen that happen a bunch of times. Darren Clary in chat, Riley Smith out. I saw your big win last night, by the way. Congrats on that. I saw you won the 3 stars of the night, or whatever it's called on DK, the 3 stars promo. I saw you got first in that as well. So very, very exciting night. That's awesome, man. I mean, you've had a couple big binks so far this season. So you've been working hard and not an MME guy either. Just playing a handful of lineups from what I understand. So that's really awesome. Riley Smith out. People are telling me good to hear. Well, not good to hear, but at least we have some clarity on the game. Hopefully Smith is okay. I don't even know what his injury was, but it's Alex Tuck season. The kids will say in the premium Slack chat. Okay, if Draisaitl is with Nugent Hopkins and Yamamoto, that line's really awesome at 5-on-5 together. And then you'd have 2 options. You go that full line plus McDavid and Tyson Barrie if you wanted to onslaught. I think Edmonton is very onslottable tonight. They had a bunch of power plays in the last game. They did not convert on the 5-on-4 power play minutes that they had, but they did have a lot of minutes. I'm guessing Montreal, because they commit a lot of penalties most games. They're probably going to commit some more penalties tonight. And I just, there's no way I'm fading this Edmonton 1/Edmonton power play. So whatever their lines are, I'm going to have a bunch of McDavid. I'm going to have a bunch of Draisaitl and probably a lot of Nugent Hopkins as well. I would think that Nugent Hopkins being back kicks off Yamamoto off the power play, but maybe we'll get some more clarity on that before lock. We've got quite a bit of time before lock, so we'll see on that. Edmonton, they're a top play. I don't know what else to say about them. I will say, we don't really talk about the other lines that much with Edmonton. And that's because I think it's really difficult to play Edmonton without playing Connor McDavid and Draisaitl. So I'm just going to stick to that. If they outperform their implied goal total here of 3+ goals, I'm just going to assume that McDavid and Draisaitl are doing a lot of damage, and probably enough damage that they're going to be in a winning lineup or close to it. So yeah, Janmark skated on power play 1. I just saw that as well, Greg. So there you go. On the Montreal side, this line wasn't very good 2 nights ago. Suzuki, Toffoli, and Armia, but I'm going back to them. Really cheap Armia. Suzuki's price has dropped a little bit. And then Toffoli is under 7K as well for 6,800. I'm going to be taking some stabs at them and, hopefully not swapping too much because my lineups are dead. But I think I'll end up swapping some of my Edmonton ones to the Montreal side and leaving a ton of salary on the table if there's a early line that goes off that I'm not heavy on. And I've got Edmonton 1 coming up. They're going to be super popular. So we've got McDavid projected for over 30%. We've got Draisaitl around 30, Puljujarvi well over 20. This will get updated as the line info gets updated. So we'll see where Nugent Hopkins slots in. But I do like the Toffoli line for Montreal. And that's really about it. I mentioned their defenseman the other day. Haven't been getting to a lot of Petrie and Weber. I don't see that really changing tonight. I will be playing some Chris Russell, though. I think probably a pretty good shot to block some shots for Russell. It usually is for him. So if you're not going to the two big guys, Tyson Barrie, Darnell Nurse, do what you want with those guys. Those guys are both awesome options, especially with Edmonton stacks. But I think you could play Russell, not necessarily as a correlation play, but just a guy that, Montreal is going to put up shot attempts at 5-on-5. They're a really good 5-on-5 team. They just can't stay out of the penalty box. I believe he kills penalties, and he's willing to block some shots. So 3,200 for Russell. I don't mind him as a one-off guy, as a last man in kind of thing. On the Edmonton or on the Montreal side, if you wanted to go to Edmonton, 3,200, I'd be fine with that as well. So that's really about it in this game. If anybody's got any questions in the chat, feel free. Let's see here. I think they're just experimenting in practice. Oh, you're talking about, geez. Cliffy says, beat writers are currently guessing Edmonton lines, so we won't know until warm up. That's not great. Okay. So what I would say, if you're making, it's actually not a bad team to not know line combos on Edmonton, because you know where the goals are going to come from if they have a big game. And you're in tournaments, you're just looking like you have to have a big game, right? So if they suck and you don't get the lines right, who cares? But what I would consider doing is making some rules in Fantasy Cruncher or changing some line assignments, and you just put McDavid, Draisaitl, Puljujarvi, and Nugent Hopkins on line 1, and you just say that, if I play Puljujarvi, I want to play one of McDavid, Draisaitl, and you just basically load up on the power play. Or I would include Puljujarvi maybe on power play 1, because he does play some minutes there, and he just correlates well to McDavid. He's been playing pretty much every second at 5-on-5 with McDavid, so not too worried about him getting taken off that line. But I would think that you just load up on 3 to 4 guys for Edmonton if you're stacking them. And if you want to throw in Tyson Barrie, that's fine. Nurse, good pivot play for $600 more on DK off of Tyson Barrie, because he correlates well to McDavid and Draisaitl at 5-on-5. And my boy, I guess, Chris Russell, 3,200. I'll be playing some of him as well with some Edmonton, or just as a one-off guy. But just to recap, Vegas is my favorite team spot. After that, it's Edmonton 1. Not really in love with anything on the Sharks, although I am taking some stabs at that third line. Minnesota, Arizona. Arizona lines are a complete mess. I like Minnesota 3 a little bit. Fiala, Hartman, and Marcus Johansson. And then Blackhawks lines are also a mess. Coroner confirmed for the Sharks. All right. There you go. So it's not even Marty Jones. That might be an upgrade, honestly, for the Sharks, but I don't know that this guy is any good. Cliffy and Josh and the other smarter people in the Slack chat will have some thoughts on him compared to our boy Marty Jones. But a lot of Vegas onslaughts for me tonight. A lot of Patrick Kane one-offs, and then Edmonton onslaughts as well. Keep an eye out in Slack for any news coming out throughout the day. Take advantage of that UFC 261 promo code, no spaces in that, by the way, Awesemo Plus MMA for 50% off your first month. So just select the monthly package. If you're ever worried or wondering about any promos we got going on, awesemo.com/promos is where you're going to find information about that. And then got to mention Jock Market as well. Awesemo NHL 20 will give you a $20 bonus on your first deposit. If you guys haven't checked out Jock Market, just go and search Jock Market in your app store, download that, and sign up with that promo code Awesemo NHL 20. You'll get 20 free bucks of gameplay, and I think you'll like the format over there. So go take advantage. They're helping continue to make these shows free. Top Stacks is going to be free today for NHL. We've also got PGA rankings, MLB Top Stacks, and the NBA Big Board. Make sure you keep an eye out for our all of our other streams for the rest of the day. We've got a ton coming up. 3 hours of NBA. We've got a couple hours of MLB. So if you're playing all those sports, you should have a platinum subscription. But if you don't, again, we've got a promo code for you right now. You can check out all the Slack chats and all that when you use that UFC 261. If you got any questions about subscriptions, feel free to hit me up. My Twitter DMs are open. But that's really going to do it for today. Thank you guys for joining. And it'll be Cliffy and Josh for you guys breaking it down tomorrow on a big slate, on a qualifier slate as well, if you're looking to burn some money there. But good luck, guys. I will see you. I'll see you on Friday. Cliffy and Josh will be here tomorrow.